Okay, let's talk about normal distribution for a little bit. So, in Chapter 5, you've done exploring data, you've looked at frequency tables and frequency polygons, you've done all that. You have calculated mean, mode, and median, and in 5.3, you learned how to calculate standard deviation. And you did that by hand, and I think in the review here, you just used a online standard deviation calculator, which works just fine. Now we're going to talk about normal distribution. Normal distribution is the fact that in general populations, so if I would take a poll of all the people in Watrous, or if I would take a poll of the weights of your average husky, or if I would take a poll of your test scores, when we take a large enough poll, the data will always fall in a normal distribution. And we're going to explore that here in 5.4. So normal distribution is when you take all the data you have and you calculate the mean, and you would put that on your histogram. This would be your mean. We write it as X bar. And I think that was last unit. When we calculate the mean over the entire population, we can also use the symbol mu, like this. Okay, we'll just leave it as X bar for now. And then you also, as you already know how, calculate the standard deviation of all your data. And normal distribution then, your mean is in the very center, and then you would add a standard deviation and you'd get a new number here. So if your average is, say, 50 and your standard deviation is 7, then we would add 7 to 50, and this would be 57. We would add 7 again, and we would get these intervals, and the intervals are the distance of the standard deviation. Now, the symbol we use for standard deviation is that, I think. So here it would be the average plus 1 standard deviation, and then we would take the average and add another standard deviation, And on the other side, we would subtract 1 standard deviation, like that. Now, the interesting fact that when we do this and we graph it and we make a histogram, it will always work out that the most data is going to be right around average. So if we would draw the amount of data right beside the average, it would be about this much. Equal 1 standard deviation away, well, my bars don't look equal, but they're supposed to. 34% of the data is going to be in 1 standard deviation away from the mean, or the average, both directions. And this always happens in the world around us. Then, when we move further away from the average, if we look at 2 standard deviations away from the average, here there's going to be a little bit less. Always 13.5% of the data will be in that section, and likewise on this side, always 13.5% of the data will fit in those parts of the histogram 2 standard deviations away from the average. And then, if we go a little bit away from the average, a much smaller amount, 2.35% will always be 3 standard deviations above the average, and on the other side, below the average, same thing. So a very small amount of data will be much lower than average and much higher than average. And then one more away, it's going to be a very tiny amount, negligible. I think it's not even written in your textbook. I think it's 0.18, if I'm not mistaken, %. A very, very tiny, like much less even than 1%. Okay, now this curve makes what we call a bell shape, or a bell curve. And so if you're in, let's say, a lecture theater in university in 2 years, and there's 100 students in your class, and the teacher says to you that I grade on the bell curve, meaning that if there's exactly 100 students in your class, and he calculates, or she, the teacher, calculates the average of your test scores, and then they calculate the standard deviation of your test score, and they draw this bell curve, or the axis here, 34 of you must fit in one standard deviation above the average, and 34 must fit in one standard deviation below the average. And so if there happens to be 28 students below one standard deviation below, well, then the teacher will take those few extra, maybe, that were in 2 standard deviations away, and bump your test score up, because they have said, I grade on the bell curve, and all my students must fit into this exact bell shape. And maybe there's only 10 students instead of the 13 that's supposed to be in this category. Well, they'll take a few and bump your scores up a little bit so that it fits on the normal distribution curve, or the bell curve. So if you are asked, does this data fit on the normal distribution curve, then you're going to see how many pieces of data fit in each one of these sections. And if it meets these percentages, then yes, it's a bell curve. You can also enter your data into a standard deviation calculator that creates a graph for you, and you can look at the graph. Is it in this general shape? Well, then yes, it is normally distributed. So let's look over this page. This is very much like the key ideas, or the summary section in your textbook, found on page 250. Always a great place to look if you're wondering about something. So the normal distribution, it's a set of data that is normally distributed, has a symmetric bell shape when graphed, as a frequency polygon. Oops. Generally, measurements of living things such as mass, height, lifespan have this type of distribution. The properties of a normal distribution. Okay. Mean, median, and mode are close to equal, and they fall at the vertical line of symmetry. You know that just from dealing with quadratics, right? This line of symmetry happens in the very center of your graph, meaning that both sides will be symmetrical about this line, or they'll look the same on either side of that line. The amounts of data within 1, 2, and 3 standard deviations away from the mean, mu in the very middle, are shown on the graph, those percentages. The area under the curve can be considered as equal to 1. It represents 100% of data. So the area under there, is 100%, equal to 1 whole. So you can see here, if it's a large standard deviation, then the data is going to be really spread out. So if one standard deviation is quite large, maybe the bell will look like this, really spread out, because we'll see 1 standard deviation, 2, 3, depending on how large your standard deviation of the data is. And if your standard deviation is very, very small, then maybe the curve would go like really high and really a tight bell, right? So it depends, the spread depends on your standard deviation of the data. Okay, and here's an example. The ages of the grandparents of Elaine's classmates were collected. Does the data approximate a normal curve? Sketch a graph to help you explain. What is the likelihood that this new guy, Hal, his grandparent is at least 80 years old? So let's do this one together. Right, I entered the data that was given in that example into this statistics calculator. The link is in Google Classroom. And now let's press Submit Data. Okay, so we have got this results here. 72 is the average. And you'll notice that according to normal distribution, the question is this normally distributed? The mean, the mode, and the median are all quite similar, which is an indication of normal distribution. Let's also find standard deviation, 7.4 right here. Okay, let's remember, mu, the mean, 72, standard deviation, 7.4. So if we could sketch this really quickly, we would have our mu, that's at 72, our average, let's say, 72, and one standard deviation up would be 72 plus 7.4, and then again plus 7.4 and plus 7.4, and then likewise this way. Okay, I'm going to pause it and do that on my calculator. Okay, so there would be the x-axis of this graph. You can see the average here, mu, and then we've added standard deviations both directions to find those intervals. Now, what we would need to do to see if this was normally distributed is I would count the number of pieces of data within each interval. Sorry, I should move my screen so it's centered here. There we go. So we would count, okay, between 64.6 and 72. How many pieces of data are in there? Well, 65 and including 72, I guess. 65. So I counted, and there are 13 pieces of data in that range. Okay, so that's supposed to be a 5. Okay, so 13 in this range, let's see, that would be about here. 13 pieces of data. And then let's do the next, the standard deviation above the average. So between 72 and 79.4. And the purple ones, there are 8. Now, I circled 72 in the bottom category. Maybe I should have lessened that a little bit and divided them equally. But what did I say? About 8 in there. Okay, let's do the 2 standard deviations away, between 57 and 64 points. That's 3 pieces of data. Okay, and now the blue ones, that was 5. And now the last boxes, between 50 and 57 and 87 and 94. And the red numbers there, there's 1 in each. So that'd be 1 and 1. And so would this be normal distribution? Yes, it's very much in a bell curve. I mean, that's not exactly 34% on either side, but it's very close. Now, how's a new student? What's the likelihood that his grandparent is at least 80 years old? Okay, well, 80 would fit about right here, right? Whoops, I'm going to grab a different color. About right here. So the percent chance that this grandparent is at least 80, meaning that they're here and up, well, this percent was what? 2.35% is in that box, and here is about 0.1%, 1/8 I think it is, and if we add that together, it's about 2.5% chance that his grandparent is above 80 years old, according to this normal distribution. Okay, I would like you to proceed to the experimenting with normal distribution assignment using a DICE simulator. You can find that next in Google Classroom. That's a hand-in assignment. If you complete it, you get 5 out of 5.